WTLF and the Lapsed Entertainment Group, it's This American Work, one McMahon's story, told week by week. I'm Nasal Gas. It's This American Work, I'm Nasal Gas. Today in our program, Episode 6, Maryland. You know, we spent a lot of time talking about Vince McMahon's upbringing, his formative years, his wife, his family, and how he built that family around a real sense of what was possible in the United States of America, due in no small part to his father, who was obviously a distant figure in his younger years, but who he came not only to admire but deeply love and want to follow in the footsteps of in the professional wrestling promotion business. But it wasn't straight to professional wrestling for Vince McMahon. There was a pit stop. State of Maryland. You see, his father didn't necessarily want his son, Vinny, in the wrestling business. He certainly tolerated his passion for it. He tolerated his son dyeing his hair blonde to look like Dr. Jerry Graham when he was a teenager. And the idea that he would hang around his office in Washington, D.C. and help book matches with him, or at least play book matches with him. But when it came time after graduating East Carolina University for Vince McMahon Jr. to find a job, it wasn't really professional wrestling that his father had in mind. In fact, it wasn't at all. It was an accountant or a lawyer, something more secure, stable, professionalized, maybe a pension. But if we've learned anything thus far about Vince McMahon, it's that that's just, put it this way, not going to happen. And so the first point and the pivot of that transition into what he would become happens when he moves after graduating college, of course, with his bride, Linda, to Maine, to Maryland and then Maine, to Maryland first, Gaithersburg, Maryland. And Vince is with us to talk about those years. Vince, welcome back to the program.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. What's up? Yeah, I was. Well, I'll be. You know what? This is the time to be honest. I was getting a blowjob. So sorry. What was the question?
So
What?
So you've learned that less than nothing is what you're saying.
I've learned that you're very inquisitive as an individual.
Did you finish?
Well, I mean, I'm Vince McMahon. I always finish.
All right, I just want to make sure you weren't blue balling us because we've got a lot of talking to do, as you can imagine.
I guess. Sure. Yeah, I'm here for your benefit. What can I do for you?
Maryland. When I say that state to you.
Well, it's a state. It's a state of mind.
What was your state of mind moving to Gaithersburg, Maryland with your young family out of college?
Well, I really just wanted to get away from the South. I don't agree with the South. I don't believe the South has anything beneficial to offer. And what I really thought would be the best course of action would be to move to a more I mean, if we're going to take over, if our goal is to live the American dream, we might as well live near the capital of the United States of America.
That's what it was. It wasn't that that's where your father was based?
Well, you know, he happened to be there, but I was more interested in supporting my family in the aspects that family needs to be supported.
I don't understand what that means.
Well, I mean, you know, we're trying to provide for a blooming, blossoming, you know, tender family unit.
In what ways were you blossoming at this time, Vince? We're talking 1969, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, 1969 is a good year. Very good year. Very good year. Love.
Understand it was quite a summer.
Love 69. Love 69. Still love 69. Always will love 69. But, and that notwithstanding, well, you know, what I was trying to do was to develop myself as a man, because now we have the world is at a different place for me. Now I have a family. I have Linda. I have also my own personal needs to satisfy. So we're talking a very full plate in terms of satisfaction. And so the idea with Maryland was that, it seemed like the natural fit, like the next place to go. We're always looking at what is that next step? Where are we taking our lives? Where do we fancy that the universe is going to take us? And I said, the universe is saying Maryland.
Okay. Well, that's a more profound story than I expected. I thought it was just because your dad's office was there and you wanted to try to elbow your way into the business, but it wasn't direct.
I didn't want to elbow into anything. I mean, I certainly respected to a degree what my father was doing. I appreciated on a business level what he was trying to accomplish. But I just, I wanted nothing. I didn't want anything to do with wrestling. Just want to be clear on that.
Oh, really? See, the way I always read your story is that you were, your father didn't want you in the business, but that you.
Well, did I write what you read?
Sorry?
Did I write what you read?
No.
No. So who the fuck would know this? If I didn't write it, if I didn't share the story.
You've spoken to many media outlets over the years, and I've never heard you say that you wanted to avoid the wrestling business. I've always read that you said quite the opposite.
I never wanted to be part of the wrestling business. In fact, I've never have been part of the wrestling business.
Oh, it's that whole thing. Okay. So what business have you been involved in for most of your life?
I wanted to get involved with pharmaceuticals.
Well, I guess you achieved that in some way. But we're not at 1994 yet, Vince, so I don't want to jump too far ahead. But I will say that, you didn't take a job in wrestling when you moved to Maryland. In fact, you had several jobs. Let's start first with Linda, your young bride. Now, you moved to Maryland in 1969. Shane, your son, was born in 1970, your firstborn. So you've got a young family there, and you've got a humble abode, a humble home, which I understand recently sold in Gaithersburg, Maryland. I guess the subject of some lore out there that's where you guys were homesteaded. And your wife goes to work for a law firm down there, the D.C. area law firm. It's called Covington and Burling. Apparently she was a document translator. She's talked about this part of your life.
And actually, it was called Covet and Burn Them.
Oh, Covet and Burn Them?
Yes.
Are you sure that's what it was called?
That's what I thought it was called. I mean, I certainly didn't work there, but this is what I've been told.
When you were there, did you work at all in your dad's business, like on the weekends or something? It's always hard for me to put an exact year on when you started actually, helping set up the ring or doing any kind of promotional help and assistance that your dad needed.
I mean, at first, again, I was not very interested in taking part in the business. I didn't want, because, here's the thing, I don't want a handout. I don't want things handed to me. I want to take it. I want to reach in down the throat of something and rip it out for myself.
Right.
But if someone else reaches their hand down the throat and rips it out for me, I get angry. So I chose to go a different route. I did not want to be handed an entertainment slot in my dad's company. Instead, what I decided to do was I decided to join the accounting team at Garfinkel's.
Excuse me, frog in my throat. Okay, the accounting team at Garfinkel's. What is that? A fucking men's clothing store or something? What is Garfinkel's?
It was a shoe line, shoe store, retail. Yeah.
You're a regular Al Bundy then.
I don't understand that reference.
Okay. Well, So your wife is involved in translating correspondence from French to English. She studied French as well in college. And
Oh, yes, she did.
She's been quoted as saying that firm had a huge international division, and she was a recipient.
Her French. Let me tell you something about her French. It was intoxicating when she would stick that tongue down my throat. Intoxicating.
Did you ever make her make out with someone else while you watched?
Of course.
Besides Eric Bischoff.
Oh, I mean, I can't think of a particular instance, but I can't imagine that I didn't do that.
I guess that counts. So there she is, a receptionist. Correspondence comes in. She was quoted as saying first thing during the day to get things going, they'd come to her for more information. And they allowed her over time to start studying some of the intellectual property law that the practice was engaged in. And that certainly had application to her future role as an executive in the WWE. She said she applied for an opening at the probate division. And
she definitely
they took her on and trained her.
Opening, I'll tell you that. And I took her up on that offer.
What was that offer again?
An opening.
Did you ever visit her at the reception desk?
Pussy.
I'm sorry, Vince. I believe you cut out there for a second. Could you repeat that?
Pussy. Pussy.
But that, see, the reason I thought I missed something was the question was, did you ever go visit her at the law firm? And your response to that was pussy?
Yeah. Yeah. I went to visit her at the law firm so I could get pussy.
Hers, to be clear.
I mean, definitely, on the list at the time.
So she talks about how she would learn about copyrights, how Vince Lombardi was actually a client of the firm at the time. And so it gave Linda an opportunity to learn a lot about how to trademark intellectual property. Do you remember talking with her back then about how that might have applicability to pro wrestling? Because certainly you guys exploited that side of the business.
Well, when it came down to it, I realized that property of the intellect is the most valuable of all properties, and so, she'd come home, she'd talk about her day and whatnot. And so we discussed this, and indeed, the intellectual property laws were of deep importance because, quite frankly, I don't want anybody else to own anything that I thought of that came from my intellect.
Yeah, that's certainly fair, and that's in keeping with the spirit of the law. I think the issue over the years has been that you also want to own things you didn't come up with that were not a product of your intellect.
Absolutely, and I do believe that I have the right to do that because, I mean, are you asking me if I kind of, what are you asking me exactly?
I was just saying, I understand wanting to have the rights to things you come up with, but, there's been wrestlers who've come to you over the years that had a name that they used elsewhere, and you wanted to trademark that too. Even though they had used it before they came to you. So it clearly wasn't your idea.
Yes, but I trademarked it first. So there's a difference there. See, we're talking about something that somebody has on a brain, but then we're also talking about what someone owns because of the U.S. government says they own it. And, if there are times when a contract is maybe rewritten without the knowledge of the signing party, so be it. Do they, by signing, does so-and-so, by signing this document, herefore and therefore and heretofore, provide Vince McMahon with their property of intellect? Yes. Fine print, my friend. If you want to learn about something about the law, it's called fine print.
So is Linda just as ruthless as you were in this category? I always kind of thought of her as kind of the legal eagle behind the scenes that would, dot the I's, cross the T's so that these bitch-ass carnies couldn't come back ever at you and ever get a dime you didn't want to give them.
I mean, Linda is no fairy princess. She's no fairy godmother, right? She is a ruthless relentless, rigorous individual who wants what she wants and will get it. All right? Now, was she always like that? Was she like that back in 1970? No, she was not. But she didn't have my upbringing of taking what you want when you want it. See, things were taken from me, whether I wanted it or not. And so I said, this is the way we're going to live our life. These are the values that we're going to teach our children. This is how we will succeed. And she
what was
took it to
something
heart.
that was taken away from you, whether you want it to be taken away or not?
My innocence. Growing up in that trailer park, innocence taken away. By father, stepfather, maybe real father, who knows?
Does someone have to pay for that, Vince, the fact that that happened to you?
Everybody has to pay. The bill comes due, my friend. The bill comes due. Unless you're the one printing the bill.
Yeah, speaking of that, speaking of bills coming due, an accountant was one of the jobs your father had on his mind for you as you came out of college.
Garfinkel's.
Huh?
I was in the accounting team at Garfinkel's.
Let's hit a piece of tape relative to that. This is from a documentary done on your life, the profiles piece from Matt Lauer that we've, featuring Matt Lauer's host that we've excerpted several times here in This American Work. Here it is. You talking about, here on Soundbite Accountant, what your dad had in mind for you, perhaps.
All right.
There was just an instant attraction that my dad felt and that I felt. And he was just a wonderful, caring, bright man.
He also falls in love with the world his father brings into his life, wrestling. Vince lets his father know that he wants to wrestle. His father is adamantly opposed.
He wanted me to have a more secure future. He wanted me to be an accountant or an attorney or something like that. And I really wasn't cut out for any of the above.
And I wasn't. I mean, I certainly wasn't. I can agree with that. I definitely did not have the wherewithal to, proceed as an accountant at Garfinkel's.
Why was that?
Well, I mean, we're talking about just a difference of mentality. I have a very particular mind for certain things of that nature. And it was, to put it clearly, it was just not the thing that was meant for me. I am good with making money, but not accounting for money.
I see. So how do you know you're making money if you're not properly accounting for it? How do you know you're actually making a profit?
Oh, I know. I know these things. I have the ability in my mind to understand when money is being brought in to a degree like no other.
You told your in-house publication, WW50, I begged my dad to be in the business, but he did not want me to be in it. He wanted me to be an accountant or attorney. Wanted you to have a legitimate job with a pension. He thought wrestling was too speculative and wanted you to do something more secure. As you said, back in those days, there was no security. The promotion business was a very volatile business. And actually, the word promoter back in those days was not a good word. If you were a promoter, people would run from you. Promoters were thought of as con men and things of that nature. So my dad wanted something better for me, which in hindsight I appreciate, but all I ever wanted was to be in this business. I just loved it.
There was, the moment that I saw my first motion picture down in that cesspool of a town that I grew up in, I realized entertainment was in my blood. I needed to entertain people. I needed to entertain myself. Like shoving leaves up a girl's pussy. I found that entertaining. And so did she, for that matter. And I realized something, that this is a fascinating world to be in, where people pay you to get a reaction of somebody else. That's life. That's how you make money. So I thought, well, what better way to do that than, this is kind of when the world started blending together, and I said, hey, you know what, my dad has this business, an entertainment company, putting on shows, different venues, multiple times a year. And I said, well, I'm not expecting that to be handed to me, but I will go out and take it.
When you said, this sort of notion that it says here, the con man, right? That your dad didn't want you to be seen as a con man.
Now, I specifically have said this, I do not want any association with Tony Khan.
Yeah, see, I don't think that's what...
I'm not a fan of the con men.
Did you feel, I don't know, a bit of self-loathing on behalf of your father that, it appears that he was sort of like, everyone thinks of me as a con man. I don't want people to think of you the same way, Vinny.
Absolutely not. So I didn't care. But at this point in my life, I don't care what anyone thinks about me. I don't care what Linda thinks about me. I don't care what my kids think about me. All I care about is what they do. And I care about that they respect me. All right? And I don't care what my dad thinks. He can tell me anything he wants. My goal was simple. Take what is rightfully mine from him.
You said just a moment ago, that's life. To get a reaction out of somebody and get paid for it, that's
Yes.
life. I'd like you to maybe explore that a little more. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, there's nothing more satisfying than controlling the emotions of people, than being able to pull the strings, so to speak, pull the strings on people, on feelings, on what they want. That's one of the things that I've learned when I learned pretty early on, is that people don't actually know what they want. People don't know what they need. I know what they want. I know what they need. And I will choose when to give it to them, if I give it to them at all. And then, even if I know what they want, maybe I know what's better for them.
Sounds like a lifetime of frustration coming through there. I mean, because, for so many years towards the tail end of your run at the top WWE, there was this, constant barrage of criticism.
It's not over. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. You keep doing that. I'm still in charge.
See, I'm just not going to accept that. I mean,
You don't have to accept it. See, here we go again. I don't care what you accept. I don't care what you think. I'm simply telling you that things are going on, and I am dictating terms.
I see. That's interesting. Dictating terms. So it's not like you're writing Raw every week or deciding who goes over, who gets pushed, but you're dictating the terms in which everybody operates.
I'm dictating every term that goes on in the WWE. I always have, and I always
There was
will.
all this creativity when everybody was complaining that the show was just, repetitive and the same.
Sure, because see what people don't understand. This is, and apparently you don't understand this either. I like being the bad guy. I get off being the bad guy. I'm the villain. When people are saying, hey, that fucking piece of shit, that Vince McMahon, that's what I want to hear. I don't want to be celebrated for doing good things. I don't want to be celebrated for giving the fans what they want. Sure, I can give them what they want, and I'll gladly give them what they want if I'm feeling up to it. But I'm going to do it through somebody else. Because what I enjoy more is that after they've had their taste of what they have right now, oh, everything's exciting, everything's great again, is to take it away and bring it back to the way that I want to do things, which is me being the bad guy. And I still am the bad guy. I'm just, if you will, as we like to say in the business, off TV.
It's always, occurred to me that perhaps what we're all, as we rejoice in this era of renewed creativity with Triple H in charge and, better storylines and more cohesive television, and for a time period there are some higher ratings, some great business metrics responding to what's being done, that maybe all this is a lame duck period until the company gets sold. That maybe what you're actually doing is just letting your son-in-law play with his toys until the real bosses come in and kick him out on the street and you get paid. Am I wrong there? Am I on the right track?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but I enjoy fucking with people. I enjoy making people upset. I don't need the money. I don't need to sell the company. If we do, great, whatever. When that day happens, I will destroy it. I will extinguish the company. I will burn every single piece of information. It'll be like the WWE never existed.
Well, but you must be grateful your father didn't.
Can you handle that?
Well, you must be grateful your father didn't do the same thing so that you could come right in and take over.
My father was a moron. My father had limited vision. My father couldn't see past his own fucking shoes. All right? My father believed his mentality was, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. My mentality is, tear it all down and build something new. And take everyone else with you. My dad is a coward, or he was a coward. My dad was afraid of his own fucking shadow. My dad didn't have the balls to do things the way they should be done out of fear of upsetting his little pals. Me? I ate his friends. I ate them and shat them out. Happily. And I'd do it again.
Did you ever feel that with all this, promotion businesses, volatile, Vince, it's, they're going to call you a con man. I want something more secure for you. I want something more prestigious and respected for you. Did you ever think for a second, maybe hidden in that whole line was that he was trying to actually deprive you of your birthright? That he was actually trying to keep you away from what was rightfully yours? That he actually was making those suggestions about your career path in a self-serving way?
Oh, there's no question about it. He knew what I was capable of, even before I was. And why do you think he tried to leave me in fucking North Carolina? Abandoned me with my whore of a mom and that psychopath to abuse me. Because he knew, even then, that I would be his undoing. It's like those movies that you see out there where they have the prophecy. The prophecy says this, so you try to destroy the prophecy. But in reality, what is that actually doing but enhancing the prophecy? You, as you try to destroy it, are actually creating it. Out of your own fear, you have created your own demise. The more my father pushed me away, the more I was going to take what I already owned from him.
Now, one of the first jobs you took upon landing in Maryland with your family in 1969 was a job selling adding machines. You told Playboy magazine in 2001, "I'm not good with fucking machines. They have no personality." That being the case, what did your sales pitch sound like in that job?
Well, I am good with fucking machines, if that's something
I see.
completely different. I mean, my sales pitch was, look, here is something that you can do, that you can use that would help you lower your payroll because you don't have to have new fucking people. You don't have to have people doing jobs. I got a machine that'll do it for you.
Do you like finding ways to lay people off, Vince?
I love finding ways to lay people off. I love it.
You like automation, Vince?
I love being in control of people's lives. I love being in control of life.
So it sounds like adding machines was the perfect job for you.
I mean, adding, subtracting, whatever, it didn't really matter. It was a stepping stone. It was a stepping stone, one more place for me to go to achieve my destiny.
Do you remember maybe a sale of an adding machine that you made that was a memorable sale?
I do remember one. It was for an elementary school, I believe, and the person wasn't pleased with the school purchased the adding machine, a number of the product, and one night I was sitting at home, and the principal who had signed the deal on the product, I found him outside my doorstep, and he was furious with me. And I said, "Who the fuck are you? I don't even know what you are." And he said, I'm the principal. I'm the guy that you sold these adding machines to. And I said, "Okay, I see. What's the problem, pal?" And he said, these items are shit. These items don't work. The screws would shoot out and, hit a student in the head. The whatever, you name it. Things, they just every single one of them malfunctioned. And I looked at him and I said, "See, here's the problem. I didn't make these things. I was just hired to sell them. And you're the fucking idiot who bought it. So who's the asshole here, pal? Me for doing my job, or for you for not doing yours?" Then I kicked him in the balls and pushed him down the stairs.
So that was a memorable sale then.
Fucking great.
Did you do anything else after you knocked him down the stairs?
Oh, I laughed because he looked like a fucking moron. He was like, he ended up kind of with his head on his neck, the back of his neck on the stair, and his body was like flipped over, and it was almost like he was kissing his chest, and his feet were on the ground. It was remarkable positioning. I mean, you can't fake that shit. He may have died. I don't really know. I don't recall.
Okay. So after that, another job you had in Maryland.
Not special enough for you? That's not exciting enough for you?
I just don't want to incriminate you. That's all. So I'm trying to keep this project.
I didn't kill
on the rails.
anybody. And I'll sue you if you say that I did.
Say if I said you did what?
If you said that I murdered somebody, I would sue you for slander.
Right, obviously, and I didn't say that.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you that you can't imply that because I didn't kill this guy.
No, I didn't imply it. You told the whole story yourself.
If he died, he died on his own terms.
Yeah, I never.
Yeah.
Except now I'm wondering, but.
Well, you can wonder whatever you want, but this is what happened. After all, I am the only witness to this account. I'm the truth.
Okay. I guess that probably would have been a better name for this whole series. But too late.
Well, I own the truth.
That might have worked too. How about the next job you have in Maryland? Maryland Cup Corp. Maryland Cup Corporation.
Yep.
I see an ad here from a newspaper.
Yeah.
Back around the time you would have taken this job. Help, male and female, advertising, production, marketing division. Some experience required for career opportunity.
Yes.
With large corporation, future marketing potential important. Initially handle advertising and sales promotion production. Broad company benefits. Our employees know of this ad. Maryland Cup Corp, Owings Mills, which I think is the town in Maryland where you used to tape Tuesday Night Titans. Front office, but the phone number here, an equal opportunity employer.
Yes. Yes,
You remember answering some kind of ad like that to get that job?
I may have. I don't recall the exact, it's possible. It's very possible that Linda may have found this in the newspaper, and she handed it to me and said, Vinny, you should try to do this. And I said, all right, I can do that. I can give it a shot. Might as well. Nothing to lose. And sure. I would have
Maryland
applied.
Cup Corp was the country's largest maker of paper and plastic cups at the time.
Uh-huh.
Huge business. They used to sell they had a subsidiary called Sweetheart Cup Company,
Yeah.
which would sell ice cream cones. They'd make ice cream cones and sell them to ice cream stores, and in wholesale as well in boxes. They had a baking division. What was that like, selling cups? You told Playboy, I would get up early and work a zillion hours, but it wasn't for me. I mean, they want you to talk about the characteristics of the fucking cup. It's a paper cup with a plastic coating, and it has a certain lip type thing. They cook it at such and such a temperature, but you had to go there and sell this cup like it was something special.
The only thing that I remember about the selling the cups was that there were often times when I would ejaculate into the product and sell those particular items.
Customers not have a question as to what was in the cups. I mean,
Well, no. I mean, well, they'd get it all. I would do my business and then put them back in the box, reseal the box, and then all of a sudden they open it up, big surprise.
and that was never a problem.
Not for me.
And that happened. You didn't just make that up.
I have no need to make up stories on this program. I am the truth. I am Vince McMahon, and this is my life.
All right. Well, how about the idea that you had to sit there and, talk about the characteristics of the cup and why this is just the
Jesus
best
Christ.
cup? I
I
mean,
just
you're really
made- I
getting
made- I made
your
shit
sales abilities being put to the test very,
I made shit
very
up.
early.
I made shit up. I said, who fucking cares about selling cups? I said, why can't these just be in a fucking supermarket or a fucking wholesale place and people go and buy the goddamn cups? Why do I have to pitch cup to individual? No, I just made shit up. I said, this particular cup, this brand of cup is a particular item that this was actually made by the tooth of a virgin, over in Greece, and we have a special plant that is run by nuns, and they handcraft the individual cups with blessings from God. The Pope comes down and blesses this shit, and then the monks are the first to try it with their 80-year-old fucking alcohol, whatever, and Sambuca. They're drinking their Sambuca out of the fucking thing, and so I mean, I just made shit up, and again, this is where I learned that I had, if you will, the gift of gab, and was able to really talk people into doing anything I wanted them to do.
See, I love that. I'd like maybe if we could do the age-old exercise of, sell me this cup, right? That's an old pro wrestling thing. Like, cut a promo about this cup. Make me want to buy this cup. So let's envision, I'm running, I don't know, a restaurant, right, that serves coffee, and you're coming in here on behalf of Maryland Cup Corp.
Yes.
To sell me some cups. You want me to switch from another vendor like Ace or something, and you want me to go with Maryland Cup Corp. So,
Yep.
you get on my calendar, you give me a phone call. I say, come on in, we'll talk. We'll see what you have to offer. We sit down, and what's the first thing you do? You put the cups on the table? How do you start the conversation?
Well, first of all, first thing you got to do is you grab the cup, you look at everybody in the eye, you make sure, and you don't start your presentation until everybody is looking at you. All right? Sometimes you got people sitting around a conference desk, and they're, fiddling through their papers. No. I just sit there. I just stand there quietly, the smile on my face. Listen, I'm getting paid whether they fucking, no matter how long I take, I'm getting a paycheck. So I don't fucking care how long this takes. If it takes you guys a half hour to get your fucking eyes on me, I made that much more money. All right? So then, once they have all your eyes on you, take the cup. I've already filled it with water. You see, that was the greatest experience of my life. I just drank water from this cup. This cup, which was made in the hills of Buenos Aires. All right? Each cup handmade by the Brazilian monks who live in the hills of Buenos Aires. And they craft these with pieces from the earth, materials from the earth, completely organic. Nothing fraudulent about this. And so what goes into your body after you take a sip of this cup is the world. Earth has given you life. Now, we always hear stories about the Fountain of Youth and whatnot, and other of these fantastic sort of legends. In this paper cup, legend becomes reality. You drink from this cup, you will live forever.
A stirring speech, to be sure, but did anybody actually go for that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What would you do if they didn't go for it?
Well, I mean, you know, the rare occasion that they seemed disinterested, I would lock the door to the conference room, and I would find, you know, I would say that I'm starting over. You know, let's talk turkey, if you will, as Hulk Hogan would say, and you know, I would find the boss, and I would grab him by the tie and lift up whatever I could find, whether it be maybe a pen or maybe a water jug, you know, whatever, carafe, if you will, and I would yell at the other employees that if you don't fucking buy this, if you don't tell him to buy this, I'm going to break his skull with whatever item I had on hand.
So you got the sale.
Oh, fuck yeah. Absolutely. They wouldn't, I mean, either they bought it or they bought it.
So why would you ever leave? It sounds like you really had a system down there where you couldn't lose.
I mean, you know, the thing was, it wasn't fun. You know, I'm a big believer that to go to work every day, you need to have fun. And I want to enjoy my job. I want to enjoy my life. Basically, I want to be able to say, I want my job to be better than my home life. I want to be able to say, you know what? I can't wait to get the fuck away from you, family, to
Right.
get back to work. Because that's more exciting than fucking watching my kids learn how to walk.
But hard to say that selling paper cups is more exciting than that, right?
Absolutely, it's not. It's a complete bore. I mean, even threatening a man's life isn't fun when it has to do with cups.
So who's your boss there? I see here an obituary from the Baltimore Sun, 2009, of a gentleman named George Good, and apparently he was a executive at Maryland Cup Corp around that time. It says here he returned to the area in 1968 and took a position at Maryland Cup Corp, Sweetheart Cup at Owings Mills, where he rose to National Sales Administrator and finally the Director of the Straw Division. Remember your boss at all? Was it this guy?
It might have been, to be quite honest. I don't really remember who I worked for at the time. I just kind of, you know, they basically said, you got to go here. And I went there and just did what I did. And
It says here this gentleman enjoyed writing fiction, short stories, and poetry. Does that ring a bell?
I mean, maybe I might have hired him as a booker at one point. I'm not sure. But I can tell you right now that whoever I worked for did not leave a sturdy impression on me.
So take me back to this day, as you told Playboy. One day there I am, selling this guy on the cup, and he looks at me and says, "Son, you really don't give a damn about that cup." I said, "No, I don't, and thank you very much." That was it for that job.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there was one guy who, you know, I went through all the motions, really, when it came to the end of it. I gave them my spiel about the Brazilian monks and whatnot, Buenos Aires, and, you know, then they weren't going to buy it. I threatened the guy, and he just stared at me in the eyes. He stared at me right in the eyes. And he said, "You don't fucking care what you're doing, do you? You don't like these cups. You're not passionate about these cups." I said, "No, I'm not. I could give a shit." And he said, "Well, if you can put on this kind of performance with something you can't stand or don't care about, imagine what you could do in the entertainment business."
Next time on our program, Vince McMahon continues trying to find his path in Maryland and trying to find what might be next for him. Will he follow in the advice and the path laid forward by that sales pitch subject, or will he find another way to become king of the wrestling world? Next time, as we continue our act on Maryland. Is This American Work?